This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Laserpool. I am the GAC RVC for Region 10. And I'm going to do a little bit of training here for you incoming presidents here, chapter presidents. My contact information is here. My contact information should also be on the region webpage as well. So feel free to email me, call me with any questions that you may have. All right, so let's get into it here. So GAC, formerly the GGAC committee, just GAC, so formerly grassroots government activities, advocacy. Now we're government affairs. We made it very simple. And RBC is regional vice chair, meaning that I cover all of Region 10, which is 14 chapters: Arizona, California, Hawaii, and Nevada. So, and the governments in those states vary quite a bit. So I get the honor and privilege of covering all that territory. A little background about me. I am from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm doing this from my home, as a lot of us are working from home these days. And I've been doing this for 1 year. So as the title slide says, I'm in the middle of a 3-year term as regional vice chair. Okay, so today's agenda is pretty short and sweet. I'm going to keep it relatively simple. First is just an introduction to the Government Affairs and Government Activities Committee, whichever A you want to use. Some key activities, some key things that we're involved with. I'll try to narrow it down to a short list. Just an explanation of advocacy. So you'll hear me use the term advocacy a lot. We're advocates for ASHRAE. We act as advocates with government. Some resources for chapters and your government affair chairs. And then some expectations. We'll just go through some checklists and some expectations, maybe even look at the PAOE a little bit as some kind of general overall guidelines. Okay, so background is our mission statement is to be a source of expertise in the built environment here. I won't read these slides, but we're basically our win condition is being a resource for any sort of legislators, policymakers, anyone involved with building codes, school board officials. I mean, government is a big tent. It's just essentially anyone who affects policy, and especially anyone who affects policy that affects our industry in HVAC. And of course, our responsibilities are to influence and educate government officials. So again, government officials have big jobs. They cover a lot of subject material, even at the federal level. I mean, a state senator has, probably 10 to 15 people a week, groups a week that want to talk to them. So they definitely can't be experts in every area. And we are experts in the built environment. I have a link here. This PowerPoint will be uploaded to the Basecamp. We can find other ways to get you the PowerPoint as well. The society webpage is on these links. So these links are, sorry, took a drink of coffee there. These links will be available and clickable on this PowerPoint, so you can get to these at any time, so you don't need to write any of this down. So the original objectives, the background in our history is actually, GSC, if you have heard of this committee before or something that's relatively unknown, it's actually one of the original committees. It's actually established in our original Constitution and bylaws at ASHRAE back in 1895. So in Section 4, Article 1, it reads as thusly. And one of the highlights here is to favor legislation compelling the ventilation of all public buildings and according with the standards of this society. So government affairs has been a key part of ASHRAE since ASHRAE has been ASHRAE. Of course, interesting note here is that this is when the air conditioning part was left out of ASHRAE as ASH and VE. And then the first annual meeting, President Bates covered this, that every family has the right to have an abundance of good fresh air, even if it's not aware of its rights. An appropriate topic even now. So key activities. The Government Affairs Committee basically focuses on 3 major overall things. The first is the development of public policy priorities, PPPs. Try not to use too many acronyms, but the PPPs are basically a list of what's important to ASHRAE as it relates to government affairs. Okay, that's developed at the society level. Next is to communicate internally and externally regarding these policy matters. And of course, we highlight a big thing here. Our big event every year would be a government outreach day. What's on the right there is a flyer for the government outreach day we had in California. More on that to follow. And then third is to develop the capacity of ASHRAE to be effective at all levels of government. Advocate nonpartisan ideals and educational outreach. So educational outreach, Again, we promote STEM along with any ASHRAE public policy positions as well to legislators. STEM is usually a very important topic that goes hand in hand with what we do in government affairs. And again, nonpartisan. We try to be nonpartisan advocates for ASHRAE. So here's the list. These are this year's, they change every year, public policy priorities, or they're revised every year. So building performance optimization, public safety, and IEQ. Of course, I've got those highlighted. Those are particularly important now. Residential codes and standards. People are spending more time in their homes. ASHRAE is focused on commercial ideals in the past. We now focus on residential. And then STEM and workforce development. Of course, I've got a link to that document here. Here's an example of a government outreach day event. Here's our cadre that we met in Sacramento on March 3rd. A very successful event, meetings with senators and assembly people, also the California Energy Commission, which had a great deal to say, and I even had a few task items for us. We had people from all over the state of California, and even myself. Maritasi came in from Hawaii, and Jeremy came in from Washington, D.C. So what is advocacy? It's a process, not an event. And it's about achieving specific outcomes, namely the promotion of ASHRAE's position on various topics that affect the built environment. In a slide, we're not lobbyists, we're activists. Okay, the difference between lobbying and advocacy is money. Of course, we're a volunteer organization, we are not paid. And my predecessor liked to put up this slide. Advocacy can be as simple as mailing a letter. These STEM letters here, if you purchase the STEM postage from the post office and mail a letter with it, guess what? You're an advocate. So we do have staff support, both at the federal level. Jeremy Pollack, who you saw in the last photo there on the very, very left, he manages our federal affairs. He's from Sacramento, but lives in DC. Alice Yates is our director. I have a link here to standard public reviews. Our documents, 62.1, 90.1, are constantly reviewed internally, and it's good to have membership and even legislators know that they can make public comments on these reviews, so I included that link. And we want you to sign up for our bi-weekly government affairs update. It's a very, very easy way to stay up to date and keep in the know of what's happening in government affairs. All those links are live. Here are some more prep videos. Some of these are old. We're going to upload our videos from the last outreach day before the pandemic hit and things changed a little bit for us, but those are some good links there. So leadership roadmap: plan, create, generate, encourage, and sustain. So what I have here on the next 3 slides are just some expectations, and I've highlighted some key ones. I'm not going to read through these one by one, but the first and foremost, the most important thing you can do as a chapter president is assign a GAC chair. Really, government affairs is something that's more than just one person. You really need a committee to do it well, but you need at least a chair. Some of you, San Jose, San Diego, the Golden Gate chapter, Sacramento are very fortunate to have very active and very, very good GAC chairs already. A continuing GAC chair is worth their weight in gold. But if you don't have one, see me. Let's try to find someone who would be a good fit for this role. This needs to be an outgoing person that is able to engage people they don't know. Having that chair attend CRC. CRC will be in Tucson this year. I'm very much looking forward to having it. Hopefully we do have it. Even if we are forced to have it virtually, I'll do a training like this. It will be a much, much longer, much more detailed training. It will be 3 hours because there's a lot to go over, but having that chair attend CRC is absolutely critical. It is the best way to jumpstart their year. And then, of course, maintaining a list of government officials is something that we always like to do. I mean, this comes in handy later for when you're planning your government outreach days. And then, of course, I've got a link here to the PAOE and PAR list. This is a good document. It's an Excel document. It is basically a roadmap. I mean, if you follow the PAOE objectives, or even half of them, you're doing a very good job. Some more expectations on expanding, share with your chapter membership those public policy priorities that I mentioned earlier. Hosting and promoting eWeek, which is usually in the middle of February, or getting a proclamation there. And then, of course, Outreach Day. A lot of details on Outreach Day. Outreach Days can take many forms. We're actually going to call them outreach events. They can be at your state capital. They can be at a local area. We can even have them virtual nowadays. There's all kinds of ways that you can reach out and engage officials on this. And again, this is actually a checklist. Support your outreach day, schedule local code official meetings. We're a grassroots organization. There's the old saying that, most of government is local, or the most important government is local. officials. So don't forget about local officials. Don't necessarily chase state senators all the time. And then, of course, partner with ASHRAE MOU organizations. MOU is Memorandum of Understanding. So AIA, USGBC, ASHRAE has a lot of organizations that we partner with. And often those organizations have government affairs wings as well, and they can be very effective, and teaming with them can be very, very helpful. I can't do something like this at a time like this without mentioning COVID-19. If anyone asks you what is ASHRAE doing for, as a response in the built environment to COVID-19, the answer is a lot. I actually will indulge and click on this link here, drag it over to my screen here. This is a very well-developed and well-detailed website here. We have filtration and disinfection documents, of course, a myriad of resources. I mentioned this as government affairs. We actually have a form letter that we can send to you that I think will upload to Basecamp. It is not uploaded on this page yet, but that you can send to a legislator who's interested in knowing about what ASHRAE recommends for operating buildings as best to mitigate pathogenic spread, or we have some very good documentation this is just the tip of the iceberg here, but you can see this page goes just on and on with resources, and is a really good resource for you. So short and sweet, I'll wrap it up here. Cheeky comment there. Any questions? Of course, this is a video. I can't have the interaction with you that I would like, but I hope to see you at CRC. I certainly hope to see your GAC chair at CRC. And these materials will be made available to you. And of course, please feel free to contact me with any questions or comments. Thank you.